discuss the beautiful game known around the world as well as the things surrounding it. Now today we're going to be starting a series known as the Top 10, where we look at the current form of teams across Europe to determine who makes our top 10 list after each progressive week. Now today we'll be looking backwards before we can look ahead as we finalize last season. I would have loved to have gotten this video uploaded a couple weeks ago, but things just didn't fall into place. But as it is, this video will be uploaded after my beloved Villa started the season with a 1-0 victory over Sheffield United at home, so I'm all smiles regardless. Now, this top 10 list will, of course, include some criteria, which I'll go over in just a bit, but you can be sure it includes trophies won, final placements in competitions, in leagues as well, looking at the play, the current form, the squad, the country coefficient, as well as overall strength of league. And we'll be starting from 1st to 10th and work our way down. So we'll go ahead and get started right now. First up, we have in first place after the end of this crazy season, we have, of course, Bayern Munich. Not only did they go ahead and win the league comfortably again over Dortmund, Leipzig, they also went ahead and took home the DFB Pokal, beating Bayer Leverkusen in the final, and of course running riot through the UEFA Champions League thanks to their incredible squad depth, including one Robert Lewandowski, defeating PSG in the final to win the UEFA Champions League. An incredible treble to culminate a great season. No one can argue with the great things they've done over this current season, and it is shown with the trophies they've taken home, including the display they had against some of the greatest teams across Europe. Moving on to second, we have PSG. While some may not agree that PSG are deserving of such a high list, you have to remember that they almost went home with a quadruple amount of trophies. Now, yes, they may be, in terms of some, based on competition, in a lesser league than others when you consider what most people consider the Big Five leagues, which would include, in no special order, the Bundesliga, the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Ligue 1. Although some would debate that definitely the Portuguese league has definitely moved upwards ahead of Ligue 1 in some respects. However, as it is, PSG finished runners-up to Bayern Munich in the UEFA Champions League this season. They had a fantastic overall achievement, moving forward further in the competition than they had ever done before, only equalizing, if I'm not mistaken, Marseille in the competition for a French Ligue 1 team. But they also went ahead and not only clinched, as they always have for quite some time, Ligue 1, but they also went ahead and defeated Saint-Étienne, and if I mix these two up, I apologize, in the Coupe de France, and they defeated Lyon in Coupe de Ligue. So they've already went home with a treble of trophies, but of course their main objective was always going to be the UEFA Champions League. Now, some may argue that it's a bit undeserving as well because Ligue 1 actually did not get to finish their entirety of their league, such as the Eredivisie, where a lot of Dutch fans were probably disappointed as well, not being able to see the end of the season, even if it was just played behind doors. So I'm still going to put PSG in second. They had an incredible season and just one win away from taking home a quadruple amount of trophies, which I cannot even think of any team right off the top of the bat who has done such in one single season, excluding the Super Cup, the Club World Cup, things of that nature. So moving forward, we're going to go to third place, where we look ahead to Sevilla. Now, Sevilla may have just been in the UEFA Europa League competition, but they still did an amazing job winning it in the final against Internazionale, or Inter Milan. they put on quite a display, and this competition is definitely theirs after they have won it as many times as they have. I believe it's 6 overall, if I'm not mistaken. While they did finish fourth in La Liga, they had a great season overall, and we have to admit that while UEFA Europa League is definitely second in terms of tiers, it's still a major European accomplishment and trophy to be able to do so. And they were also quarterfinalists where they lost to Barca in the Copa del Rey. But regardless, they had a strong showing. Went up against some stiff competition in the quarterfinal, semifinal, and final of that competition, and it still takes quite an effort to do so. So they're going to get my third place because of the weight of that trophy as it is. Moving on to fourth, we have Inter Milan. Not only did they get to the Coppa Italia semifinals where they lost to eventual winners Napoli, but they were UEFA Europa League runners-up, and they also were finished second in Serie A. Now, while they didn't go home with necessarily any trophies, they were right there for a culmination of trophies. And in some regards, they almost always were going to be getting a treble of trophies as well, just to a lesser extent, perhaps, to Bayern Munich getting the Champions League and them the Europa League. So they were only 1 point finishing behind Juventus. Again, making it only losing to Napoli, who were the eventual winners, and then being runners-up to Sevilla, who put on a show and showed their grit to win the competition again. I think they did a deserving job pushing Juventus all the way, even if Juventus clearly tailed off at the end. It was theirs to lose this season because they really had the squad to do it. Antonio Conte coming in and doing a wonderful job of getting the best out of his squad. Even if he sometimes likes to go with more of a veteran squad, he still got the results that many people did not think he would achieve until this next season, possibly. But as it is, I think they did a great job getting as far as they did in each competition. And for their progressiveness in each of those competitions, I've put them in the fourth spot. Now, in fifth spot, maybe some people regarded them to be higher up the list than I've put them. But for me, they definitely were aimed at one thing this season after winning the Champions League last year, and that is Liverpool. They were after the league title, which they had not done for a extremely long time. I mean, to think about it, Steven Gerrard, if I'm not mistaken, did not win the league his entire career that he played for Liverpool. An astounding feat considering how much he won with Liverpool and did as much as he could to try and win it during his playing time at Liverpool. At fifth, they played in the EFL Cup, a league cup that takes the four tiers, the top four tiers in English leagues. Now also known as the Carabao Cup to some, but most of us will always call it the EFL Cup, the English Football League Cup. They lost in the quarterfinals to Aston Villa, who were eventually, if I'm not mistaken, were runners-up in that. And then they were knocked out in the FA Cup fifth round. Also can be considered the round of 16, where they lost to Chelsea, who were the finalists, eventually losing to Arsenal. Then they also lost in the round of 16 to Atletico Madrid. So while they won the Premier League, which I have to give them credit for, very strong competition, doing something they haven't done in so many years as it is, and staying ahead of Man City, and as well as hitting a great mark. I mean, even Man City were far down the list in terms of points. So everybody this season obviously is trying to catch back up. So a strong showing in the league. That's why they're fifth. But in the other competitions, they definitely fell short, and that's why they're fifth. So great job to them. Congratulations being the Premier League champions. They now can say, for those players who've been there, they have quite a list of trophies. You think about the Champions League and the league you're in; those are almost your top two. If you can win the domestic cups as well, that's always great. And for some teams and some players, that is more than enough of an achievement just to win one of those. But I digress. As we move forward, we look at number 6. That's going to be Juventus, Serie A winners again, um, and they were runners-up for the Coppa Italia, losing to the winners Napoli. They also lost in the round of 16 to Olympique Lyonnais or Lyon. Not as great of a season, I'm sure, as they would have liked. They did their business, as some would consider possibly coming from Bayern Munich and PSG necessarily winning their league. That's something that they almost want to guarantee, or they should be guaranteed to do. But as it is, they still did the deed and were pushed considerably this year by a number of great teams, but most importantly, Inter. Only being 1 point ahead, even though they had actually won the league with a couple games to spare. Um, for me, they did not do as well as they should overall. Obviously, with Cristiano Ronaldo there, their main objective is to win that Champions League. And with his age always going up, never going down, there's always going to be the urgency to try and win that. Even with the past years where they were pushing, I thought, well, here is the talisman that we need to really reach those new heights. And you can't say that he didn't do his part, especially in the knockout stages. But as we all know, football is a team sport, or in some may call it soccer, and that's okay to call it both. It's all right. Just as we all have different sayings for things and different accents or dialects and places, it's okay to call it one or the other. I know most people would prefer to call it football. That's okay. That's why this is called football politics, so it's more understood by people. But I think that as a team, they did not perform well, and that's what matters in this sport, is performing as a team. You cannot be one individual. You can only do so much as an individual. Unfortunately, that's why we see a lot of our favorite players sometimes, or star people, go from one club to another, because there's only so much they can do at one club. And when they go to a better club overall, they have more strength around them to progress and actually win the trophies that are so sought after by the clubs and the players. Moving forward, we go to 7th, where we will see Manchester City. Now, Manchester City can say that they had a up and down season, I guess, in terms of their final placement. Obviously, they, as Pep Guardiola would probably say, it was a disappointing season. They've definitely been pushing to go as far as they can in the UEFA Champions League. I mean, they've won everything else in the league that they can. And with Pep now going into his final season, his final year of his contract as well, which will be interesting to see what will happen. It was definitely a little bit of a letdown. Overall, they won the EFL Cup, the English Football League Cup, the Carabao Cup, against Aston Villa in the final. And they lost to Arsenal, who were the eventual winners in the semifinals in the FA Cup, as well as finishing second in the league. Now, if I can't remember here real quick, let me take a quick peek, but I was pretty sure they lost in the quarterfinals to Lyon. Sorry about that. I had to double check my notes. But Lyon obviously had a great run in the tournament. You can tell that they had a overall disappointing season, finishing 7th in their league, but they had a great spurt in the cup competitions, getting to the final to face PSG, and as well as pushing through quite a number of big European teams by all people consideration. And so while Man City did lose to Lyon there, which they will feel like they could have and should have probably progressed, they definitely let themselves down. Some may point to Sterling's devastating miss, but They did beat some other big opponents along the way, and for their consistency there, I definitely put them up there in our top 10. They're deserving of it. They had some great players that season, as well as Kevin De Bruyne having a fantastic season, winning the PFA Players Award. And unfortunately, for us, we have to see him go, whether or not you're a Man City fan or not. David Silva playing wonderful last season for them. We move forward in ninth. Some may consider them after their loss to not even be considered on this top 10, but I assure you they are most deserving. And when we take a look overall, maybe they deserve to be a little bit higher, but obviously it's Barcelona in number 9, and for them, it's win or lose, just like it is for Real Madrid. Now, I put them below Real Madrid simply because, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Going back, we have Real Madrid in 8th. I apologize. Real Madrid, they had a great season for themselves. Not overall the best, since they consider to want to always win every single competition. But Real Madrid ended up winning La Liga. It's first time in a few years, actually, with Barca always taking the helm there. But they ended up reaching the semifinals of the Copa del Rey, losing to Barca, who ended up being runners-up in that competition. But they lost in the round of 16 to City. That's ultimately why I've put them 8th and not 7th, specifically because Manchester City actually got to face them in the competition. The biggest club competition I consider for it, specifically for European competition. I know there's the club world football, but they lost to Manchester City in the matchup, so I think they deservedly should be one spot below them. If you're going to face them, it's the only time you're going to face them, and you lose, it should count for something, no? Especially at the end of the season when you're supposed to always, be at the best of your form. So I've put them 8th. They still had a great season, winning La Liga ahead of their rivals Barca. But losing in the round of 16 is definitely a slip up for them. They haven't had the best of luck. I believe that's the second time in a row right now that they've lost in the round of 16, if I'm not mistaken. And last year it was two seasons now, was to Ajax, who had a brilliant run as well. Moving on, we have in 9th place Barcelona, which discussing they maybe deserved a few places higher, but I think for them it was a disappointing season. And as we've seen across the news and media, as well as comments here and there, that it is ended in a very, very bad way. Now, there is positivity to it. Obviously, Lionel Messi is staying. He did not want to stay. He wanted to go. He is kind of stuck there. But his contract and what happened in the present, that's another time for that. So as we look at their season, I actually think they had a very, very good season. They were Copa del Rey runners-up, losing to Valencia, and they lost to the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League to Bayern. So, I mean, if you're going to lose to anybody, lose to Bayern. But then again, you shouldn't probably lose that bad. It was a great game to watch, but yikes. Obviously, we've all possibly seen at least the highlights of that game, but you could tell there was definitely some skeletons in the closet that led to that 8-2 happening. And more and more it came out as to why it probably was 8-2, and Bayern capitalized. Kudos to them; they did their job. Some can say, arguing of sportsmanship, you shouldn't keep going and going, but they made subs, and Barca were even humiliated by one of their loanees, Coutinho, doing the business as well. So overall, yes, not the greatest, but they did finish second in the league as well. If you're gonna lose to anybody, lose to the winners. That way, you at least know you went out against the best. But yeah, second in the Copa del Rey, second in the league, quarterfinals, finalists losing to Bayern Munich. Obviously, they would have loved to have gone farther in the UEFA Champions League. It's what you know their club expects them to try and win every single season, just like Real Madrid. La Liga is a very much most people consider always going to be a two-horse race there, but um, Atletico Madrid maybe just have been slipping this past season under Diego. Wow, I can't even remember his name right now, but uh, Simeone. There we go. Um, and Sevilla definitely had a tiring season as well. So they finished fourth, but still doing very well to finish that as well. Moving on to 10th and our final spot. Before I mention them, I want to mention an honorable mention who some people might argue deserve this 10th spot, but I chose to leave them off the list, but I feel it's worth mentioning them. It's RB Leipzig. DFB Pokal round 16, they lost to Eintracht Frankfurt, which is probably not the best way to go out. But they made it to the semifinals of the UEFA Champions League, an amazing run. They lost to PSG, who were the runners-up. I'd say if you're gonna lose, yeah, it's a big team to lose to. They did really well to push through. They even beat Atletico Madrid on the way, which is a very tough team to win against with their defensive grit. Maybe it definitely hurt them that Timo Werner left before that game. Perhaps they could have beat PSG. It's possible if the competition was allowed to go on as normal, but obviously with outside circumstances, it was pushed back. Timo Werner got his deal done and left. Some people may argue, why didn't he just stay and help his team out for the end of the season? I don't know, but I still think they had a really great season. They finished third in the league, behind Dortmund, and of course behind eventual dominant Bayern Munich. But they definitely were soft in the loss against PSG. PSG really um, found their rhythm by then and capitalized against them. And I think that because of their overall performance in that game, as well as their showing in the cup, and as far behind as they were in the Bundesliga, even if it was against Bayern Munich, they don't make my top 10 just because of those reasons. So in 10th, final placement goes to Atlanta. While you may argue or disagree with that, that's fine. That's always up for debate. But they were Coppa Italia round 16, where they lost to Fiorentina. Not great there. But they were quarterfinalists where they lost to PSG. Now, you say, well, RB Leipzig also, lost to PSG. They got a step ahead. But I really feel that PSG got extremely lucky. Now, yes, Neymar missed quite a few chances, and it could be because he was coming back into form, having only just played, if I'm not mistaken, 2 games by that point in time. And you have a single game knockout. But Atlanta were the real deal. They showed that all season. Now, yes, they didn't have as great of a defensive team, but their attacking was superb last season. They finished third in the league, I believe, with 78 points, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a quick peek. Yes, 78 points, only 5 behind the eventual winners, Juventus, and they entertained us last year. They really showed us something special. Finishing third in the league, round of 16 in the cup, yes, but quarterfinal loss to PSG, where they almost scraped through. I think they really gave PSG all they could handle, and if it wasn't for a bit of magic and some luck, as you always need in some of those cup competitions. They probably could have went through, and it would have been a really good matchup to see RB Leipzig versus Atlanta. And I personally think that Atlanta would have pushed through. Now, that's with Timo Werner not being there, so we keep the scenario the same. Had Timo Werner been there, possibly, but we'll never know, unfortunately. It would be great to see if that would ever happen, but it didn't. Overall, I think their team strength, their way they played, as well as their overall finishing circumstances in the competitions that they played in, they deserve this 10th and final spot. So yeah, that's the top 10 list. If you liked it, please like it. If you want to subscribe, please do. We'll be here, and we'll upload another one to continue this top 10 series and go from there. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.